Hi everyone, today I'm here with Nick Durst, who's been a huge sports fan his whole life, as you can even tell from his shirt. He lives in New York and he loves all these New York sports teams. So, Nick, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. My baseball team's doing really well so far this season. I'm pretty excited.
So, could we say that baseball is your favorite sport?
Yes, baseball is definitely my favorite sport. I've been a huge baseball fan ever since I started playing in Little League back when I was probably like five. Always go to the games, and I really love baseball.
So, did you always love baseball, or is like when you were younger and you played it that make you love it more?
Well, obviously, when I was a little kid, I didn't know anything about sports, but when I started playing baseball, I really got into baseball. It became my favorite sport, and from there, I just got hooked on all different types of sports.
Okay, so what other sports do you like?
So, besides baseball, I'm a very big football fan, also a huge hockey fan, also a basketball fan. I also do like soccer because I played soccer as well when I was a child.
So, what are your favorite sports teams?
My favorite sports teams are obviously the New York Mets, as you can see, the New York Rangers of the NHL, the New York Giants of the National Football League, and the New York Knicks of the NBA.
And why do you love them? Is it because of the area you live in, or there's something else about them that makes you love these teams?
Obviously, I'm a New Yorker, but as you know, in New York, there's so many sports teams, but I'm just a big fan of it because all my family members growing up, they all love those teams as well, and just got hooked at a young age.
Do you have a favorite player from each team?
Yeah, definitely. You want to know like all time or
Uh,
currently?
how about currently for now?
Currently, okay. So I'll start with the New York Mets. My favorite player currently is David Wright. He's been there for a long time now. He's been there through the struggles. It's great to see him succeed, so he's my favorite player. As far as hockey goes, my favorite player is Henrik Lundqvist. He's the Rangers goalie. He's been very successful throughout his career. We'd love to see him win a Stanley Cup. Always rooting for him. In basketball, my favorite player is Carmelo Anthony. And believe it or not, at my job last week, Carmelo Anthony was there, and he was just making some coffee in this coffee machine. Very tall guy, very nice
Did you
guy.
get to speak to him at all?
I didn't get to speak to him. He was surrounded by like a bunch of publicists and stuff, but it was very cool to see him. And in football, New York Giants, my favorite team. My favorite player currently is probably Victor Cruz. Hopefully, he comes back this year at full health and has a great season.
What about of all time? Do you have favorite players? Are any of them the same as your favorite player now?
Sure. So, as of all time, I'll start with the Mets again. Mike Piazza. Grew up in the heyday of Mike Piazza when he was just crushing home runs for the Mets in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, always going to be a huge fan of his. Really liked him. He's going into the Hall of Fame this season, so I'm really happy about that. As far as the New York Rangers all time, Brian Leetch was my favorite player growing up. He was a defenseman, won the Stanley Cup with them in 1994. Really like him. He's an American-born player, one of the greatest American hockey players of all time. In football, my favorite player of all time would be Michael Strahan. You know, some people might not know this, but before Michael Strahan hosted Live with Kelly and Michael on Good Morning America, he was actually a football player, Hall of Famer for the New York Giants. And then as far as basketball, my favorite player of all time, I would probably say Patrick Ewing. He's a Hall of Famer as well, New York Knicks center. They were very good when he was there. So I definitely like him. Those are my favorite players of all time.
Is there anything a player that you really love could do that would make you dislike them or lose respect for them?
Yeah, so a player, I'll give you an example. There's a player that I did like. His name's Henry Mejia. He New York Mets pitcher. He got caught using performance-enhancing drugs, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So now he's banned from baseball. So it's really hard for me to say I like him anymore when I did such a stupid thing like that. Sometimes it happens where the players, unknowingly do something once. So, you've got to give them a pass if they don't really know. But, if you do it twice and then 3 times, the first time ever in the history of baseball that someone got caught doing a performance enhancing drug 3 times and got banned from baseball for life. So totally lost all respect for him.
Is there anything else besides performing enhancing drugs that might like make turn you off from liking a player that you like now? Like anything like that?
Well, nothing really comes to mind off the top of my head. And this probably happens a lot of people that like sports. If you got a player who's going to help your team win, then you're gonna root for him. I mean, there are many players that are on my teams that I just never liked to start with. There's many players in the league that I never liked for certain reasons, but I can't really think of any time where it's been someone on my team that I always liked, and then all of a sudden I just stopped liking for some reason.
Okay. Do you have a greatest memory from each of these teams that you like?
The greatest memory from each of the teams. So obviously, New York Mets last season was just incredible. Made it to the World Series. That also happened in 2000, but I was younger, so I really couldn't remember that as well. But last year was just an incredible season from start to finish. Really exciting. That was just amazing. Obviously, the ending wasn't as great as I wanted, but that hopefully that we change the ending this year. But as far as maybe like that was a great memory. I got to enter some of the playoff games this year. Daniel Murphy in the playoffs was just insane, hitting all these home runs. I was at the game.
Are you upset that Daniel Murphy is now Washington National?
Yeah, very upset, very upset. Daniel Murphy obviously wanted to be a Met, but Sandy Alderson, the Mets general manager, just wasn't interested in bringing him back. So very sad to see him go, but hopefully we win without him. And then in 2006, when the Mets were in the playoffs, I was able to go to the NLCS games, just crazy games. Those are some of the best games I ever went to. As far as hockey goes, 2 years ago, New York Rangers went to the Stanley Cup. Couldn't believe it. I was just like shocked. It was a surprising run. Really excited for that. Very happy. That was just an amazing experience. That's my personal favorite with the Rangers. With the Knicks, they haven't really been too successful over the years. But I guess my favorite season with them was about 3 years ago when they were number 2 seed in the East. They had a lot of good veterans and a lot of young players. Made a good playoff run, so that was great to see. Hopefully things are on the up and up with Kristaps Porzingis, their new player. And then the New York Giants, easy. 2 Super Bowls in the last 8 years, 9 years. Never going to forget that. I never thought it was going to happen. When they won the first one, I was just screaming, running through my house, throwing things. It was just insane. And I got to go to the parade, the victory parade, which is just a really great sight to see. Counting the heroes, just amazing stuff.
So let's say the Giants won the Super Bowl again next year. Would that be as great as if the Mets ever won the World Series in your lifetime?
No, nothing would be better for me than seeing the Mets win the World Series because I've been just so emotionally attached to this team since as long as I can remember, since I'm a little kid in the 90s. I just want to see them win the World Series. I'm just so emotionally invested in everything they do throughout the season and the off season. Been arguing with people in school for years that are Yankee fans about the Mets and stuff. It's about time the Mets finally win a World Series, and I'd be so happy, more so than seeing the Giants win another Super Bowl.
Okay, so is there anything that, like, in the upcoming years, like, maybe next year, you'd like to see your teams do that they haven't done yet besides, like, win a championship, like maybe get a good player that would help them? Like, for the Rangers, for example, they didn't have a long playoff run this season. So what do you think could improve them to help them have a longer run next year?
The Rangers, they need to get some more defensemen because Henrik Clark was just struggling back there. In the past few seasons when they made deep runs in the playoffs, he was only facing like 30 shots a game. This season in the playoffs, and even the regular season, he's facing like 40, 50 shots. So it's too much for him. We need to get some better defensemen out there. We also need to get a big-time goal scorer who could just score goals easily because we got a lot of clutch players right now, Rick Nash, Chris Kreider, Derek Stepan, and Matt Zuccarello, but 4 guys isn't enough. It's a true team sport in hockey where everybody needs to work together to get points. Unlike in basketball, where if you have one great player or 2 great players, that's all you need. It's truly a team sport.
So in your life, all you've ever seen is 2 Super Bowl championships. You've never seen anything else. So since you have all that heartbreak, what is the best thing about being a New York sports fan?
There's always next year. There's always just hope, and going to the games. It's second to none because there's just great energy there. Uh, Sports is the only type of thing where you can rally all people from different walks of life together to root for and be interested in the same thing. People from different backgrounds, they all go to the games together. They're all going to cheer together, be excited for the same stuff. It's just crazy where I could be at a baseball game, hockey game, football game, basketball game, whatever, and a big crazy play could happen. We'd be all excited, turn around, giving high fives to random strangers. That's not going to happen anywhere else. You're not going to be, at the movies and be like, yeah, what a great scene, and turn around and just, giving people high fives and stuff. So it only happens in sports.
So do you ever look back on all these years of loving these teams and ever regret your decision of liking them? Do you ever wish, oh, I like that team because they're better?
No, never. Just, I'm sure with most sports fans that are true sports fans, you're born into the team you like. Your father likes the team, your grandfather likes the team, et cetera, et cetera. So, you're born to the team, you don't know anything else. I love being a Mets fan. I would hate if I was a Yankee fan. It would be disgusting to me. So I like the teams that I like, and that's never going to change, and I will never regret it.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.